Well, hello everybody and welcome to another video. Today we are taking a look at Exia, who has just released on JP. This is super early, and as Wotv gets older, the updates get slower and slower, which is kind of sad, right? Just like everything else in real life. Really quick, wanted to shout out everybody who has commented on the previous video about the worst ideas you can come up with for the 5th anniversary. It's just meant to be fun. It's not meant to be too serious. Don't take it to like doom and gloom or anything like that. It's just supposed to be a fun thing for all of us. So just really want to emphasize to not take it too seriously, and I'm glad to see that some people are commenting. Thanks for everybody who's been saying nice things about the hair. It picks me up a little bit at the end of the day. And also, I haven't chosen a winner yet because it's been too short of time, so that's not going to be in this video or any of the Exia videos that we're doing. All right, with that being said, let's take a look. So first off, Exia is here, and she's looking to be interesting. New water characters are always, for me, more interesting because water is kind of my main element. It is the element that I have the most luck with, the most characters with, and the most successive long period of time. So I'm pretty excited to see a new water character and hoping that she is going to potentially push some new stuff at the very least. We'll see. So yeah, getting right into it, let's talk about first for Trust Mastery. Trust Mastery is a piece of armor. It is 491 HP, 5 defense, 12 spirit, and 21 critical evade. There isn't anything super special here, I feel like. We always like accessories more than armor a lot of the time, but it might be okay here. The big thing, of course, the ability. So chain resistance of 30 for 4 turns. Nullify poison and silence for allies, and grants HP regen of 10% for 4 turns. It's pretty fine. I find it interesting that the nullify poison and silence is not turn limited, apparently. It's just in there. But the regen and the chain resistance is apparently coded as 4 turns. So curious to say the least that that's what they've gone with. They look also at a few other details to do with just Exia before we show the build of her. Master ability is reduce magical damage, increase accuracy, and debuff weakening. Dream ability includes single target resistance, reaction block rate, and critical evasion. Name of 2 things. And that's pretty good by the looks of things. It's a little bit of a hodgepodge, so, testing will root out whether or not she's good, but let's throw her in a full water party just to show her off. And there's more things to talk about here. We can take a look and see that the Alexandrite ring is here, so a little bit of elemental protection. We have Dark Siren, which is usually used for, mages nowadays, so that's not too surprising that it's there. And 2 generally strong vision cards, as well as this. The new piece of equipment, the new weapon for her, is just basic magic attack up. It also is a little bit of magic human killer and just some offensive power, which is kind of nice. But have no fear, for apparently a lot of characters, everything from Ishtola to Vivi and a few more. It seems like most characters can equip this. I don't know if this is just supposed to be a general power-up for most characters, but there's very little to kind of say, yeah, guess what? You can't have this. Seems like a lot of characters were given this bonus and not necessarily just Exia. Now, looking at stats wise, 12k HP in this party, 112 speed. I guess we should throw up some context for taking a look across the water party here. June would be our big amazing character of just like the highest stats for the cost with this party, and like 1500, 2200 attack. Like, this is a very offensive based party. It's not a very good magic party. That does kind of inform a little bit about the stats that we have. So yeah, 12k HP and 1600 magic attack is not looking too terribly special, but it's not terrible either. It actually is pretty good stats across the board. 122 accuracy is quite high. 32 for spirit, 7 for defense is pretty admirable. And 112 speed is, again, not bad. Joom is a little bit of an exception here, and with the Amara runes, you would see the adequate speed bonus that you kind of want. But single target resistance 40 and 29 for AoE is pretty decent across the board without putting too much effort into it just yet. Taking a look, elemental resistance and, type damage resistance isn't anything too special, but it isn't too negative either. So it just ends up being generally positive, I think. But looking further down, this is some of the stuff we like to see. First, resistance of 50%. That is going to go a long way for this character, pushing her to be generally better against a bunch of different matchups, and therefore end up being pretty nice. All right, skill-wise. So we do have right here a preemptive damage counter with high range, which is quite curious because, again, a lot of her kit is potentially looking still capable of dealing damage depending on how far the opponent's magic resistance and everything is, but it is a preemptive counter which can be a little bit scary and can win you games. Seen it before, we'll see it again. Taking a look at her 2 support skills that we have this time. This one's pretty flat. It's just 20 healing power up and 25 accuracy. It's not interesting. It's not amazing, but it supports her kit well enough since she does have healing abilities. Her big one is the other one, which is essentially everything under the sun. Magic up by 24%. Spirit penetration of 40, magic attack resistance penetration of 40, and reduces physical and magical damage taken by 25% for the first 2 hits, which essentially guarantees that she will stick around, at least for a bit, and potentially get off some heals. AI might be a questionable thing, but we're not quite there yet. Taking a look at her limit burst, fire resistance of 25%, critical evasion of 30, both for 4 turns, 200% chance for physical damage for 4 turn for allies, and grants the effect of decreasing human killer by 20 when an attack hits for 3 turns to the opponents that get hit by an attack. Also CT of 150 for self. So it's a little bit of a rebate. It's 49 TP, but it's pretty well costed, I think, overall, and generally going to be a nice support skill and nice limit burst that you'll probably fire off almost every time. I do wish that there was a little bit more of elemental resistance, so this wasn't just looking like this was going to be the fire answer, but okay, sure. For now, fine. Really quickly want to talk about her sub-jobs. Quick Mage does have switch position, does have guard, haste, does have float, does have slow as well, and does, importantly, have quicken, which is pretty nice because that's the ability we were essentially interested in for Time Mage. But, haste is almost always going to be there. As for Shawls' job, decrease all attack resistance for 3 turns for targets and deal damage in the large tree. Select up to 2 targets with a 185 mod, and a few support skills thrown in there for good. Pretty nice. Now, what you have for the trade-off. Trade-off here, we're looking at a Demon Killer of 75 times mod, which is really interesting. That's quite a powerful ability, which makes me wonder if this character is going to be used for a trial in the future against some kind of demon weapon, because that's a really weird mod to see. Either way, Demon's getting really screwed on this one. Also increases max damage for the cast by 4,000, which is also pretty curious. It seems a little weird that this one is so hyper-focused on specific things that this ability is going to be used for something, mark my words, depending if the game gets, finished or not. But that's not the only ability. It also gets a power-up if there are 3 or more targets. So it's a 160 mod plus 75% if 3 targets are in there. It's kind of strangely strong, which is okay. I'm not complaining about it, but it's also just suspect, as you wouldn't believe. This ability, 22 AP for a 165 piercing damage that decreases agility by 20% returns, is an interesting one. I wish that it could select 2 targets. 2 hits is nice, but it would be a little bit nice if it could be focused on multiple characters, but a subpart job. Overall, her subs look generally nice. Like, she does have a little bit of extra support in there. Her main job seems to just be all damage, which is curious, but sure, why not open some avenues? And Time Mage does give her a good amount of support, which seems to be what she was in the first place. Cool. Moving on. So now we're getting into the rest of her abilities. So first off, just a straight damage ability that absorbs the damage. If her DPS is fine, ability will be fine. Second ability, this one, increase magic by 40 for 4 turns for self if the target have one or more of the following effects: ignore fatal damage or shell. Interestingly, it grants both of those things, granting shell for herself for 4 turns, and grants the following effect: decrease single target resistance by 15 for 3 turns if the targets have one or more of the following effects. So interesting that she can decrease her single target just by having ignore fatal, which is something that she can do, and shell, which is just baked right into the ability. All right, next up, this one, increase AoE resistance by 25 4 turns for allies, debuff weakening 30 for 4 turns for allies. Grants the following effect: that if an ally's attack hits, removes or seals removal of buffs for 3 turns, also seals removal of haste, and seals removal of physical damage or magical damage for 3 turns. So attacks with long range seem like a nice combo in with this, because you can essentially just make sure your opponent's not debuffing you, not getting rid of your buffs, which you worked so hard for, and that's pretty nice. You also get the 200% chance to eat fatal damage, which again combos with this ability, which is also one that you certainly cast, and grants a couple of abilities that when her HP drops below 30 or 20%, she will get a couple of bonuses to do with some healing, as well as decreased chance of being targeted and restore some of her CP, so giving it a little bit of a forward. So that's that. That's a lot of support. What are we getting into next? Well, we are starting to get into some of the damage ones, which actually the name does change on this to Meteor. So cool, and look at the range on this ability. It's insane, and it doesn't have any casting time, interestingly, and it is piercing damage, which is quite a lot to put on a single ability. Breaking magical barriers is one thing that this target does. It decreases missile resistance for 3 turns per target, dispels shell, deals a 200% mod, piercing damage, and decreases healing power. It's pretty strong, and it has a seriously long range for not a super high cost, which is all net positive in my opinion. The only thing is, boy oh boy, this was 2 targets. This would probably be insane, absolutely insane. But as of right now, well, that needs to be tested to really see its and whether it's good enough. All right, our next ability here is this one, where we are looking at select up to 2 targets, dispel auto revive for those targets, 200% mod, and when the enemy is killed by cast, you actually get a bonus of, it looks like, HP restoration, so pretty nice. And our last ability to look at is this one, her job level 25, which again, bit of a mouthful. So select up to 2 targets, decrease single target by a factor of 60 for 3 turns, 200% damage mod on this, automatically casts a secondary skill, which is the other healing skill that we saw in the preview, 35% chance for sleep, and a 200% chance for physical damage reduction for 3 turns to the target, which is actually pretty good overall. I have to say that I think that this character, at least from the preview, seems pretty nice. She seems like she has a good range of support-based skills. She has a good range of offensive skills, and the question is twofold. One, is her AI smart enough and competent healing, support skills, and attack skills at appropriate times? There have been a few characters that do this particularly well, so I do think that there is reason to be hopeful for this character, but also a lot of her kit is still pretty focused on damage, and the real question is there whether her damage can actually get there. She needs enough offensive power to really make her abilities generally good, and we certainly saw that Sadali's abilities, they weren't bad, but offensively didn't quite do enough. It was just in combination with another magic DPS that they actually got there quite well together. So it'll be interesting to see where this lands. But another support-based character, maybe not as directly impressive as Resnick for healing, or as offensively impressive as some other characters recently. The question is, can we thread the needle well enough? All right. So to end this video, I am actually contractually obligated to at least do one poll for every water character. You know what? We got Sadali. Maybe we should do just 2 polls and say to hell with it. Let's have some fun, right? As somebody once told me recently, I need to get better at gambling. So I don't know. I'm just doing whatever. This is how you get good at gambling, right? So yeah. Why not? Let's go on this. Oh no, the music died. Well, let's something water themed, I guess. I mean, it's technically ice themed, but who knows? Maybe it'll get there. Don't tell the game or anything. Either way, to end this video, I think preview-wise, I'm fairly impressed with how she looks tentatively. Again, some of these characters recently have felt like they have not actually been good enough to overly recommend, but Sadali has been rated pretty damn positively, and same with Flame Mage, so, you know, characters aren't necessarily bad right now. We were this close. I mean, literally, it's a water character, right? I mean, to be fair, at least it's something. At least it's not a first-year character. We're going to spin the wheel one more time. Why not? It's kind of fun, I guess. And at this point, I'm just disillusioned enough that it doesn't really matter anymore. Hey, you know what? Thank you, game. Thank you for at least not vision carding me on a character banner. Those are never fun, right? Like, those are never fun. So yeah. I'm pretty on the net positive side for Exia. Whether or not she will be good enough to take over the meta or anything like that, I don't know. That's pretty forward at this point. No one's really tested her that much because she just came out, so we'll have to wait and see that. All right. Could it happen again? It did not. So thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you got a good sneak preview. And we'll take a look at Exia right away here in actual practice. See you next time.